Let's get started. Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever the case might be for you. I know that we are truly an international crowd here tonight and we are spanning all over the globe. We have more than 2,000 people joining us tonight. And the cool thing about this is also this is the biggest live Q&A call we have ever done. So I'm really excited to be with you here. I am Alex, and on behalf of the Mind Valley team, I would like to welcome you to your Lifebook online Q&A coaching call number 1. This is all about starting your life journey the right way and deals mainly with the content of your kickoff video. We have a great session prepared for you today. We have very interesting topics that we will cover, but they mainly belong to the kickoff video, and I believe you'll get great insights from today's session. Also guys, very important, be ready to interact with us and to each other by commenting and sharing your insights and why not parts of what you wrote down for your exercises. Of course, the parts that you are comfortable with sharing with one another. You can either do it in this call or you can use our Facebook tribe and community to share your insights. You can all share in the chat examples of premise, vision, purpose, strategy, tools that you use, techniques, tips that you might have. And then of course we can at the end maybe save and share this document so we can all have it. Basically we want to tap into this idea of the group and have the accumulated work and wisdom of an entire community. Because in that way, you can imagine how fast and how easy it will be for you to craft your premises and craft your life book in general. Remember that there is no one-size-fits-all solution for anything, and I firmly believe that by tapping into this power of the group, this one single element will prove to be a huge asset. So guys, let's do this together. That being said, and without further ado, let's welcome directly from Hawaii our wonderful guides on this journey, Jon and Missy Butcher. Hi guys.
Hi Alex.
Thanks so much.
Hi,
it's so good to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Truly, this is going to be an amazing event, really. It's going to be 6 weeks of amazing times.
Really looking forward to it.
Let's kick off with our first question that says something like this. What do you think are the most prominent challenges people have when doing Lifebook for the first time? And of course, how to overcome them?
I think that there are a few challenges that people have. The most common being analysis paralysis, overthinking, wanting to get their Lifebook perfect the first time. And that just is not the way it works. How to look at this, you guys. Over a 6-week period, we'll be looking at 12 areas of your life and asking you what you think. You know, we're going to be delivering some really profound content. You will hear some things that you've never heard before that are just really life-changing principles that you'll encounter. But the valuable information that's in this program will come from you, not at you, which is the big difference between Lifebook and anything else out there. We're going to ask you over and over and over, what do you think about this? Write it down. What do you think about this? Write it down. And you've probably never been through a process like that before. The most important thing to avoid is trying to get it perfect. That's not the way that it works. If you use this tool the most effective way going forward, you'll never stop fine-tuning it. You'll never stop editing it. You'll never stop improving it, right, baby?
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of times what Jon's saying, the analysis paralysis, I've seen this with just interactions that I've had with people, and it has this feeling of you're in school and you have to do everything exactly right.
Right.
That's not don't bring that here.
Not this.
We don't want the school, like, everything has to be perfect. This is how I'm supposed to do it. Is this the right way? Is this how it's done? It's going to feel a little awkward, but the bottom line is it's up to you. It depends on how you feel about it, how you really have to tap into your own intuition, into your inner guide. I would suggest before you even start doing any of the videos, meditate for 10 minutes, get completely centered,
Great.
Get into yourself, trust yourself, know that you are going to feel and know the answers inside of you. So it's definitely you got to trust your own gut and forget everything you've ever really learned about doing processes like this, and just, it's very and it's very comes from within.
So some people are more intellectual, some people are more intuitive, some people are more emotional. You've got to do it your own way. But our suggestion is let the information flow over you and flow out of you. Don't put too many rules around yourself. Just honestly, authentically share what you're feeling inside, and don't get stuck trying to make it perfect. You'll have plenty of time to fine-tune it afterwards.
And since this is your first experience with this process, you do get used to it. You get used to it real quick.
You will.
I think
by the third category, you'll know the rhythm.
You'll know the rhythm. You know how it feels. You'll still have questions like, man, I don't know what I really believe, or I don't know if this is even a belief or a premise. I mean, a premise or a strategy or whatever. You'll have things like that in the beginning. But like Jon said, just let it wash over you. You will get the rhythm of this. It's just different than most other things.
Right.
So it's going to feel a little awkward.
Now, I have one more thing to add, and it's this. The first time you do this work, you will run into uncomfortable situations. Because here's the bottom line, guys. You can't bring this much consciousness to your life all at once and not transform and not shake something loose. And Missy and I have had times when we've been through Lifebook. We go through about at least every 2 years, because your life changes. This is a dynamic tool. You got to stay on top of it. And we've encountered breakthroughs and realizations during the course of this program that can be uncomfortable, because what you're doing is you're bringing consciousness to your life, to what you want, to how you've been living. And sometimes you look back and say, damn, I've really been living unconsciously in this area of my life. We've both had that.
Hard.
And it's hard to face that sometimes.
But it's so important. Those are the steps to becoming more conscious and ascension and just being more aware of your life.
So just be open, let it flow over you, be authentic, don't be too uptight, and more than anything else, trust this process. Yes. Trust the process. Trust the process. We've got this dialed in. This works every time for every person that is really committed to bringing it to the process.
You have to have courage to look at all the things that you maybe don't want to look at, or, just it's scary to look at the unknown or to look at your life all at once, because what if it is something that you have to change? Well, most likely there's going to be something. So be ready for that.
But my God, that's where the treasures come from.
Right.
That's where treasures come from.
So bring your courage. Put your courage pants on.
So that's the most common, I would say the most common challenge people have is overthinking it. Also, you'll encounter some beliefs that were installed in you in childhood that need to go. That can be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. Every once in a while, you'll have a realization or a breakthrough that will reveal to you how unconsciously you've been living in some of these areas. That can be hard, but that's also where the jewels come from.
That's where the adjustment happens. You have to change things outside to fit your inside.
Now, all that being said, this process is fascinating, and it's enjoyable, and it's fun. Yeah. Here's our recommendation as we start, and then we're going to stop answering this first question.
Sorry.
Set your expectations as high as you can for what's about to happen in the next 6 weeks. And then double those expectations. Because what you bring to this process is what you're going to get from this process. So set your expectations as high as you can and watch. They're going to be exceeded.
Awesome.
Very true. I see just one follow-up question to what was being said. What do you do when you are uncertain about what to write, or a vision seems incomplete?
You either move on and let it go and sort of allow yourself to not be 100% sure what you want and just let that settle in, or try anything that comes to mind. Try a few different approaches and try a few things on. There are no rules. If you get stuck, just go ahead and move on. You can always circle back around to it. Basically, you guys saw in the intro video, we've got 12 categories, and in each category we ask 4 questions. What do you believe? What do you want? Why do you want it? And what do you need to do to get it? So Lifebook basically has 48 exercises, 12 times 4. The program will come at you in a really nice, consistent pace. If you get stuck on any one of those exercises, don't worry about it. Just move on to the next one. If later that week, the clouds part and the answer comes in, great, put it down. But it's okay if you leave a blank spot, you can go back and circle around. talk to some of your fellow Lifebook members. That's a really good place, a really good source of inspiration and wisdom. If you get stuck, ask us. We'll all help each other. That's what Alex opened this call saying. There are 2,000 people on this call right now. There are 6,500 people going to this program at the same time. That's a ton of wisdom, you guys. That's a ton of intellectual firepower. Let's help each other through this process.
Wow, that was a good answer. And I would just add that this is a creative process. So it's creation is messy. Like anytime you make anything, it's messy. And that's fun to me, not to all people, but it's exciting. You know, creation is messy. It's change. It's all those things. So put your courage pants on and be sure that you're also just very compassionate with yourself. Yeah, for sure. Good. Be compassionate, and I was going to say something, but I forgot. So let's move on. You answered that question really well.
Thank you.
Great. And like I said, this you can always use the wisdom of the crowd. Go to the Facebook community. The Facebook community will stay open even after the course ends. And as you saw there are topics placed every time, and you can always search back, go back, and if you guys are commenting and sharing your insights underneath all of those posts, all the accumulated wisdom of everybody is going to be there, and it's going to stay there also afterwards. So you can always reference back to it.
I just remember what I was going to say, Alex, and I think this is important for everybody to know, because like Jon was saying, through all these categories, we ask you the same 4 questions in each category. And if you're struggling in one of them and can't quite see it visually, clearly, the thing about all the 12 categories is that they interconnect, because this is just one thing. It's your life. There are these 12 aspects to your life, but really your life is only one thing. So oftentimes, if you're stuck in one category, move on to the next one, do the next exercise, and sometimes you'll have a massive breakthrough.
That's right.
In health and fitness, so in your character.
100%.
Yeah. So, like Jon said,
let me give a couple examples of that, because this is a really important thing. So you're working in the health and fitness category, and you know it's going to come down to your purpose, why you want this, because you've tried and failed before. You know how to get in better shape, but it's why that's going to make the difference, and you just can't seem to get it solid in that category. You know that you need to dial into a deeper purpose, but you're not sure what it is. So you let it go, and then you go through the emotional category and the character category, and you get to love, and you say, that's it. That's my purpose for health and fitness. I want to have an extraordinary love relationship. I want to have a hotter sex life. I want to be able to have adventures with my love, blah, blah, blah. And boom, there it is, the answer to that health and fitness question. Or it might be in the parenting category. That's my purpose for my health and fitness. I need to set a better example for my children. So like Missy says, the breakthrough in one category may come in a completely different place. So that's why you should be gentle with yourself and compassionate with yourself. And if you get stuck, just move on.
And one more thing I'm going to say, you'll hear us say this a lot, sorry Alex, it's about 2 things. Meditate. If you're not meditating already, start meditating. And especially as you're doing this work, even if you just do it 15 minutes in the morning, meditation clears your mind and answers will come in. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but if you get to a clear mind, a quiet mind, you will start hearing your own desires. You'll start hearing your own intuition. So meditation is really an added help to this process.
Especially before each category starts. Just quieting your mind for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, centering yourself, like Miss said earlier, before you start that category, that's going to help.
Yeah, because we have so many distractions on us everywhere. And so many times we don't even know what we think or what we know or what we believe. So we've got to clear that stuff away, and then doing this work, that's going to give you a clear conduit to your own intuition. Yeah. And then the other thing we talk about a lot is gratitude. Meditation and gratitude. Those 2 are magic practices, and we recommend them in every area of life. So, okay, we're done with that. Sorry.
All right, we have time for one more question, and then the call is over. No.
Okay.
No, it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory to join the Facebook community, but it's a wonderful tool that you can use at least for this duration of the call to get a lot of insights. But of course, it's up to you. It's your free choice if you want to use that segment or not.
The beautiful thing about the community is this, you guys. All of us excel in some categories and need help in other categories. So some people, everything about health and fitness just comes easily. Other people, everything about health and fitness just comes hard. And that's why if you get stuck or if you're struggling with something, ask the community. There are going to be people in the community that just have that nailed. They've got it dialed in, and they'll be happy to share with you. Between all of us, we have the wisdom, we have the intelligence, we have the emotional insight we need to solve all of our problems if we just hook up together and share with each other through this process.
Very beautifully said. Okay, after 20 minutes, we are moving on to the next question on the list. Okay, no, I'm kidding. It's wonderful. Let's see here. Next question. What would be your best strategy that we can use to make sure we stick with this process and complete our life book by the end of this journey?
Super important.
Well, I think the accountability system that we put in place to start this program, the rebate offer we made, will really help. I think, our completion rates are nuts, you guys. Tony Robbins did a study one year that found that only 15% of personal development programs that are purchased are ever completed. 15%. Our completion rate pushes 80%. So we're 5 times industry average. And part of it is because of this rebate offer. Another part of it is because this process is fascinating and enjoyable and fun, and it's super effective. It works every time for every person that really brings a serious level of commitment to it. But as far as what can you do from this point to really ensure that you're going to finish the program, well, you can decide. You can make a decision. The word decision means to cut off. Incision means to cut. Decision means to cut off. Any other possibilities? Commit. I am going to do this. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to do this. It's 2 categories a week for 6 weeks. I can do that. So I think that's the most important thing is your commitment to making it happen. You can do this. It's a matter of will you.
Yeah.
And that's a choice.
And that's up to you. That's up to you only. We can't, no one can make you do that. That's you.
But Alex came up with a few good suggestions. Alex, you sent me 4 suggestions that will help people. Do you want to go ahead and share those? Or if you don't, I've got them right here. You want me to share them? Okay. Number 1, Alex said, because he's been through this process before and he's been with hundreds and probably thousands of people that have been through the process before, commit a certain time per week that you're going to do this. Say, okay, it's going to be Tuesdays from 2 to 4 and Fridays from 6 to 8, whatever it is. Make a specific commitment. I'm not saying that works for everybody, but for some of you, that's going to work really great.
Put it in your schedule.
Number 2, you don't have to sit and do each category in a 2.5-hour block. I prefer that. I think that that's most effective to let the whole thing come at you and to do it all in one chunk. But if for your life it works better to chunk it down and do it in 5 different pieces, intro, premise, vision, purpose, strategy, close, whatever your deal is, if you need to chunk it down, chunk it down. Next, use the tribe as inspiration. That's a phenomenal idea. Let's lean on each other, you guys. Let's support each other and share with each other in this process. And finally, and this is a game changer if you want to do this, reach out to someone else who's going through this program and ask them to be your accountability partner. You could do a call a week, a simple phone call a week. You could text back and forth. You can hold each other accountable, keep each other on track, and that's a great strategy. So those are just a few little tips.
Great.
If you don't 100% trust yourself to get to the end of this program, do everything you can to put strategies in place that will ensure that you'll finish it.
And I'll tell you guys right now, by the time you get to maybe between 3 to 5 category, when you're in that deep, this becomes super, super, not addicting. I don't like that word, but it is kind of.
It's
like
fascinating. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
And you'll start seeing
it's highly
progress.
effective.
You'll start seeing the interconnection. You'll start seeing it. So just stay with it. Even if it's hard for you to make the time each, for this week and next week, keep doing it. And I bet 3, it's like, oh my God, all I want to do is this Lifebook program.
So here's one piece of advice with that in mind, because that's a really good suggestion. By week 3 and 4, you're going to understand the rhythm, and you're going to have settled into the process.
And you'll see some progress already.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So my recommendation is really focus for this first week and the second week on getting your systems in place. When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? How are you going to ensure that you have the privacy to do it correctly? Are you going to do an accountability partner? Are you going to reach out to the community? Really focus. this week and next week on getting that system in place, and then you'll settle into it and be successful. Our completion rates, guys, we've done everything we can to support. Our completion rates are massive. So you can do this for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, true. And I'm seeing questions about how to do this with a partner, how to do this with the child, how to mix the categories. So be patient. We still have time. We have 40 more minutes of this call, and these questions are in the queue. I know that sometimes when you're typing in, you really want to know the answer to that one. Just be patient. All of these questions are coming up next. So we don't have commercial breaks. We're going full in, so it's not going to be long. Okay. Next question is exactly this one, and it has multiple layers. How do you work on your life book if? And this question, of course, has several scenarios, but the main ones are these ones that also I can see here in the chat. The first one, how would you go about working on your life book if you are part of a couple doing it together?
This is the best thing you could ever do for your relationship, for your marriage, because 90% of the problems that a couple will encounter in their relationship will be because they're not on the same page in one or more of these areas of life. He's a spender and she's a saver. He's a disciplinarian and she's lenient with the kids. Whatever those little challenges are that come up in these areas of life, these are the kind of things that knock a relationship off track. Lifebook gives you a forum, a platform that opens discussions so that you can get on the same page in every area of life. So if you're going through as a couple, just prepare for the most profound experience you've ever had.
You'll have the most amazing conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, it'll be incredible. And I would say the process itself is a personal process.
Yeah. You got to go through it as individuals.
Yes.
You go through it separately.
You do the thinking, the writing, the working on your own. Of course, you can talk about it at any time you want. But what is fun, if you're into this, is you work separately and don't share maybe during the time, and then get together for a date and share. It's so magical and so beautiful. And it really, like Jon was saying, it is one of the best tools a couple can have, because this work is about consciousness, the highest level of consciousness you possibly can, being true to yourself and to others, knowing your truth, expressing your truth. It's all about authenticity. It's about finding your own intuition. And that all boils down to communication. And this is a tool that you can use to communicate with anybody, but especially with your partner, because communication is the deal.
So the best thing you can do is go through separately and then compare notes. Now, I'm going to spend a little time on this, Alex, because we've been asked this, how this tool affects a couple so many times. And people have said, okay, so we finish our life book. How similar should they be? We're trying to create a common life vision together. And here's the answer to that, you guys, as far as our 20 years of experience with what we've seen. The first 5 categories of Lifebook are your personal life categories. That's you separate from the rest of the world. Your health and fitness doesn't depend on anybody but you. Your emotional life, your intellectual life, your character, and your spirituality, that's you separate from the rest of the world. So my health and fitness chapter looks very different than Missy's. Her strategies are different. Her goals are different. We're different in those 5 areas. But when it comes to love, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to financial, you damn well better be on the same page with these things, because this is where problems come from. You better have a financial strategy that's either precisely identical, that's like one strategy,
on the same page,
right? Or very, very compatible.
Right.
You better have a vision for your love relationship that's pretty compatible or exactly the same. When it comes to the strategies for how you want to raise your kids, those better be almost word for word identical. So those first 5 categories are going to be different because they need to be different. But after that, you really want to, our life books are almost identical from the love category forward.
Even our spiritual and most of our life, we've been doing this a long time. So, but that's a really good answer to that question.
Bottom line is, it's the best tool a couple could ever have.
Yeah.
Really prepare yourself for a profound experience. Yeah. And here's the best way to do it. Go through Lifebook separately, and then go on an awesome dinner date. Bring your life books, light the candles, have the champagne, open up your life books, and share with each other.
It's so fun. It's so fascinating. And take it. I would suggest after you go through this 6 weeks, take a weekend somewhere.
Yeah.
Just be alone together if you guys.
That's a great recommendation.
Do it by yourself if you want.
Okay. Follow-up questions to this question in particular. Do you have a common life book as a couple, or do you each have your own life books?
We had a common life book for 15 years. And then Miss went through the program for the
Before we started the business, it was just one.
We just had one until we shared this with the world.
Yeah.
And then once we shared it with the world and actually made a program out of it, Missy went through that program herself for the first time and created her own life book. And then we had two. And then, like Missy said, what we do, you guys, is we go on a trip every year for a week. And we talk, and that trip is called our Life Vision Trip. And we take a look at how the last year went. What were our successes and failures? What do we want next year to be about? And we really set the vision for the coming year. So when Missy went through Lifebook for the first time, that's what we did. We went out and we combined our life vision, we combined the categories, and it was a beautiful experience. So now we have two separate life books, but they're damn close.
But we have one life vision.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely this. Yeah.
One life vision.
One life vision.
Great. And of course, the most frequent challenge here, what if you run into issues that you do not agree on as a couple, or you have completely different visions?
Missy and I have, over the years, began to look at situations like that as a massive blessing, a gift in disguise. We're different. Missy is infinitely more intelligent and intuitive than I am in many, many areas of life. And I'm the same way, the other direction. So anytime we have a disagreement or are seeing something differently, we try not to get defensive or push our ideas. We try to get really curious. Missy's super smart. I really, if she is seeing something different than me, I'm interested. I'm curious. I want to know where that's coming from. And she's the same way. And what we found, we do not believe in compromise. That is a word that we don't do compromise in our relationships.
Because you don't have to do compromise.
No, we found a better way. And our way is that if we're open to each other's intuitive intelligence way of doing things, we will always reach a better solution combining our two strategies or ideas or thoughts than we ever could have gotten to individually. And that has held for years and years. That's a true thing in our lives. And I don't see any reason why it couldn't be true for anyone who wants to adopt that strategy. And again, it's communication.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The short answer to this question is communication. Compassionate, understanding communication. You get a space, create a nice, beautiful space. Go into that space with only an open heart and compassion-filled heart, and have those talks. But there's no way around doing work like this without having deep, deep soul communication with your partner. If you want to have a relationship like this, or anything that's great, it's communication, and it's hard, you guys. That's why you need courage. That's why you need strength. That's why you need compassion. Mm-hmm. Compassion is number one for that.
And you want to come at those things not being defensive. If you're confident in your own position, you should be able to sit back and relax and listen to what somebody else has to say. It's only when we're not confident and we feel like we're on shaky ground that we get defensive and argumentative. Yeah. If you're seeing something different, get curious about each other's point of view, and then see if you can combine the two perspectives into one super perspective. That's the story of our marriage.
On this topic of accountability, I'm seeing that people are writing in the chat and are trying to find accountability partners right on this call.
That's great.
So that's great, guys. Definitely use these moments we have together to the fullest of their potential, because you can definitely do whatever you set your mind to do. Let's see now. Next version of that question is around, just a second here, let me pull my list. How would you go about working on your life book if you are part of a couple where only one of the partners is doing it? And in most cases, the other partner is either not interested in doing it at all, or in general doesn't want to do it. What would you recommend in this case?
best case scenario, if your partner isn't interested in doing it, but is open to you sharing a little bit about your experience, again, do the work yourself, go out to dinner, and share what you're going through if your partner's, interested in hearing that. Some are, and that's wonderful, because then you can share your breakthroughs and so on. If your partner's just not interested at all, and we've run into this a lot, as you guys might imagine, we've worked with a lot of couples, and the danger with one person in the relationship being concerned with their own personal development and the other person just not, the danger is that the one will outgrow the other. That's what you really don't want.
And all kinds of icky things, like icky emotions like resentment and fear,
jealousy,
and that's a wedge that can start a wedge growing in between you.
So you don't want that.
You don't want that. And again, you'll hear us say this so much, you guys. Compassionate communication. You have to talk about it, even if it's a conversation like you've tried everything and it's not a good conversation. You maybe are talking about splitting or something. But the point is, communication is the key to working anything out, just straight up.
And I'd leave it alone, though. If your partner's not interested in hearing it, just honor that. Honor that. Lead by example. Don't sit and preach to them. Don't try to knock them over the head with it. Just be loving and compassionate and lead by example. I mean, maybe they start to notice that you're more emotionally peaceful. Maybe you start to notice that you're looking a little bit sexier because you're getting in better shape. Maybe they're starting to notice that you've really started to bring it to your love relationship because of the new strategies you've used.
The general answer to this is try to lead by example. Think about it in this way. This is also the first time you are going through this journey.
Yeah, that's true. Right. I mean, you might do so well, and you might be able to take your life to the next level so beautifully that your partner will literally want to do the next round, or not. But in any case, you're going to have an amazing experience, and hopefully that's going to rub off on them in one way or another.
There's no doubt that it will.
Right.
It definitely will.
Yeah. Step number one, lead by example. So try to lead by example, and then other things will follow as well. Okay. Third variation of this is, how would you do this process if you are doing it with a friend or another family member? What would you recommend in this case?
Accountability is always great. I would do, maybe a phone call a week and go over the categories. What were your breakthroughs? Did you hit any hard spots? Did you have any challenges? Again, just, a weekly connection call would be phenomenal. Right?
I would agree.
Super simple.
I mean, just talk about it. That's the thing. It's, again, I'll say it again and again, communication, but really talking about it, sharing ideas, expressing yourself to your friend who's going through the same thing. The wonderful thing about Lifebook, once you have gone through, or any program really, you have a common language. But especially with Lifebook, you really will have a new kind of language that you'll speak. And it's so good to have other friends and family members that are in that same process, because what's happening is that you guys are going to grow. You're going to really take off and change and make massive changes in your life. And a lot of times what we see is you'll be taking off and family members, it's what we were just talking about. Some family members may become resentful or not like that you're changing, because then it's very acute that they're not changing or that they're not growing. And so, but in any case, you guys will be taking off, and it's a beautiful process.
Very true. And I also saw in the chat a question I don't think we got before, but it's a variation on this one. How would you do Lifebook for an organization versus just doing it for one person?
Well, we've done that before, and it's the exact same process. Matter of fact, Mind Valley is really going to start to take a good hard look at corporate, because if you've got team members working for you in a company, having the best team members you can get is a good strategy, and Lifebook really helps people take it to the next level in every area of their lives, including their career. So same process, but it's really great for organizations.
Next type of question here on the list. Let's see. I saw it many times in the chat. I would like to do this for my child, or I would like my child to do this Lifebook process as well. Is there an age limit? Should he or she do all the categories or skip some of them? What do you recommend?
We've done a lot of experimenting with this, and here's the bottom line. This program is a grown-up program. I would say that the first age that is guaranteed to work across the board is 18. If you're a mature 16, 17-year-old, it will work well too. The youngest has been 14. It's a little young.
Those are our kids
yeah,
too.
You know, you guys, this sounds a little weird and awkward, but the true rule of thumb is when you are to the age where you're getting ready to start having sex, that can be 16 for some, 17, 18, whatever it is. That's the time when you are probably mature enough to start thinking about some of these issues. Like we talk about sex in the love relationship category. So, you know, when you're about that age where you're transitioning from being a young person to being a young adult, that's when this program kicks in.
And I would also say, because I've had a lot of mothers talk to me about this, they've got little kids, and I always tell them the same thing. You can teach these principles to a 2-year-old.
Right.
You can start right out of the gate. Of course, you'll modify it however you need to for your family. But as long as, I feel like as long as you, the parent, or the parents have this information, then you start teaching this to your kids and start having conversations.
You
start living it, and again, when we get to the parenting category, you guys will see how we look at that category. You know, you can really, in our opinion, be the best parent you can be, is be the best person that you can be. Because you're not there at every decision that they're going to make, ever. You're never going to be there for all of it and make sure it all goes okay. So you have to get them up and running as soon as possible. And this process is all about consciousness and self-responsibility. So teaching your kids this as soon as possible, as soon as they're ready to receive it, that could be as early as whenever.
Yeah, and the best way to do that, again, like Missy said, is through your own examples. So
yeah, and conversations with them.
But to specifically answer the question, I'm going to say 18 is the totally safe age. 16 and 17 if they're mature and ready for a program like this.
And we are going to develop a Lifebook for teens. We tested one in Talon. We're working on creating a new one for that, and we're not sure exactly how it's going to land, but we're working on that because it's important.
Yeah.
Thanks for that question.
Great. Now we're moving on the opposite spectrum to seniors. We talked about kids. Let's talk about seniors. Is there ever too late to start doing your Lifebook? What if you pass the age of 60 or 70, for example? What would you recommend in this case?
There's a cutoff age. It's 264. You cannot do this program if you're older than 264.
The only cutoff is if you're dead.
Yeah. We just had a lady in our Lifebook community an hour ago on our Health and Fitness call. What was she, 72, Alex? And she said she just is doing in the middle of a tell that story. What was that?
Yeah, so we just got off the call 1 hour ago, and this wonderful lady, she was 72, she just said that she had the most kick-ass year possible this last year. She lost 26 pounds, which is the equivalent in Europe of 13 kilos, and she's doing exercise, and she's feeling better than ever.
She's crushing it. So we've had a lot of people in their 70s and 80s go through this program. Look, this program is about getting conscious of what you want and what you need to do in order to achieve that. No one's too old for that, you know? So, yeah, we think in this particular case, the answer is there is no upper age limit for sure.
What about if you want to skip some categories? So, for example, parenting, for those of us that do not want to have kids, or love relationships for those of us that want to remain single. Is that okay? What would you recommend in this case?
What I would recommend is that you do those categories whether or not you think you might not want to have kids or have a love relationship, because you are somebody's kid, you have parents. Kids are the future of humanity. It's a category that even if you decide not to really make a big commitment in your own life to, it's interesting, it's fascinating, it's good to know. Same with love relationship. I would strongly recommend that you don't skip any categories. What do you think, sweetie?
I mean, I would agree, but this is your life book. This is your life book, so you can if you want, obviously. But
those two categories are barn burners, though.
I think you have to do them in order to get the rebate, though. That might be a technical.
Oh, that's true. Good.
I don't
know.
Call. So just do them. The bottom line is do them. Yeah. If you don't have a lot to write, don't write. Just watch the videos and let the information come to you. Because what I would totally reiterate what Jon just said. Even if you don't have kids, you have no interest in having kids, you may have nieces, you have friends with kids, or just think about kids are the future of this planet.
Right.
And it's important that some people do it pretty good so we can have a future, right? So it's, again, it's consciousness. And I'm a firm believer in collective consciousness. The more we get, the more people we get. That's the whole point of 1 million people with a Lifebook. The more people we can get that are turned on, conscious, self-directed people, then they can push so many things forward and start helping other people. So again, you don't have to do it. You may have to do it to get the rebate, but the point is, do it. Just do it. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's see now. Next question. We are dynamic as people and ever changing. What about your life books? How often should we look, change, revise our premise, vision, purpose, and strategy for each category? And on the same topic, when should we actually print our life book since we are continuously working on it?
Well, that one's super simple. Your life book changes as you change. Missy and I go through the program at least every 2 weeks. I mean, when you have kids, you guys, that chapter changes every 6 months. So you really got to stay on top of it. There is no rule of thumb, how often your premise, vision, purpose, and strategy need to change. But you'll know when it's time to redo your life vision.
I would say what we do at Lifebook is we have these 12 months of a year, and every month is a new category. Like this month is January. It's Health and Fitness every month. So this is what John and I do. We are in our VIP program, which is our vision implementation program. It's our membership. So every January, we rewatch the category. Everybody in the community does. We have a live Q&A with our community. So it's like we're revisiting our categories every month.
Over the course of a year, we go through the whole program again together.
Yes.
And so that you get to refresh 12 times during the year, but then it's also a good idea to go through the whole program once every couple of years. So you'll see.
Dive deep.
The answer to the question is your life is dynamic. Your life book has to be dynamic in order to keep up with it. As far as printing,
I was just going to say, and some people use it more often than other people. There's, like you were
everyone
saying,
uses it different.
There's no specific way to do it.
Yeah. As far as printing, I like to, and I would recommend this, you guys, print your life book as soon as you're done with the course. Here's how I would do it. I'm just going to share how I would do it if I was going through for the first time like you. 2 categories a week. I do it just like I said, let the content wash over me, get my first draft down, and then I spend some time toward the end of the week bringing in pictures, fine-tuning, editing, and getting those 2 chapters really nice. Go through the course like that, and then at the end of the course, print your life book. Here's what I do. I go through the Lifebook program, finish it, print my life book. Now I have a printed copy, and I take notes on that printed copy on paper all year long. Anytime I'm doing a personal development program, I have a breakthrough. I come up with an idea. Missy and I, have a conversation that we come up with a new strategy. I literally hand write it down in my paper life book, and then the next time I go through the program, I've got all those notes. I can integrate them into my next version. So that's worked really well for me over the years. You might want to consider doing something like that.
Great. See another question here. If you have already done your life book, I know that we have recurrent students that joined us in the past, and they are doing the quest again this time. If you already have a done life book, should you do it from scratch again, or just add edits to the life book you made previously?
That's the big decision that you've got to make. The second time you go through, you've got to ask yourself, if your life hasn't changed considerably, like if you haven't moved to some other country, if you haven't changed careers, haven't had a kid, gotten married, you might want to just go ahead and keep your content and expand it and add to it. But if you're in a completely different place, like next time we go through Lifebook, we're going to start clean. Because we are now in a new place. We've moved to Hawaii. We had this goal for 20 years. We finally did it. We're here. We're redesigning our lifestyle. It's time for us to start from scratch. So that's the big question. Before you do the program for the second time, third time, fourth time, do I use my old book and add to it, or do I start from scratch? And you'll have to answer that just depending on how it feels and where you are.
I will tell you what I have done in the past few times we've gone through is keep my old life book, And I'm working on my...
It's right next
my
to you
thing.
so you can...
I got that, but I also have all my old document inside my whatever it's called. And I just add in a different ink color. And so I know that is from, from 2009 or whatever. This one's from 2016. If you change then you can have, because it's fascinating to see
the differences.
What you believed or what you thought, 10 years ago, and now
that's a good point. I'm gonna add this because this just triggered it. Keep your old versions, you guys. Like I can go back and look at my life book from 15 years ago and be like, holy crap. I was a different person back then, living a different life. You can see your progress, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see now. Next question. Very simple, very straightforward. How do you both use your life books nowadays?
We use the 12 category, 12-month rhythm more than anything else. So in January, we focus on health and fitness. The whole Lifebook community focuses on it. We do podcasts around it. We find the best resources in the world. We all share practice. We go to health and fitness in January. February is intellectual life. Same thing. So that's really how we use our Lifebook more now because we've had our Lifebook for so long. We know every word in our Lifebook.
Lifebook is a lifestyle. If you choose to accept it as your lifestyle, I mean, it's just a way of coming at your life consciously and through your own personal experience of taking responsibility for your own life, listening to your intuition so that you know who you are and what you want. I mean, I think that just this whole, I'll just say just in general, doing this whole program of going through Lifebook for the first time, what you're really kind of doing if you've never been through or done much personal development work is you're getting to know who you are right now. You're literally kind of discovering who you are right now. And it's not like, oh my gosh, looking at the past and having anything bad feeling about it or future. It's simply, this is where I am right now. This is me. This is who I am.
And who I want to become.
And also. then you start thinking, okay, well, this is where I'm at, and that's where I'm going. So really, Lifebook is the process of, it's a lifestyle, you guys. And if you choose to look at it like that, it can be really profound, and you never stop working on your Lifebook because it's your life. But I think we answered that question. But it is truly a lifestyle. We do take a trip at least once a year away from the kids, away from everybody for a whole week, and dive deep into our Lifebook.
Which we just finished 2 days ago, and it was amazing. It's usually right around the first of the year. Yeah. So
great question.
Good stuff.
Okay, next question from Luis. Self-discipline is a big challenge. How do you get over that in your experience?
Oh.
Self-discipline is the character trait that controls most of the others. We spend so much time on that character trait in the character video.
Daily.
No need to even discuss that right now, sweetie. It's coming at you, and it's intense. Yeah. Because you know what? If you can develop more self-discipline in your life, it's gold. That's the treasure. That lets everything else fall into place. It allows you to get what you want out of life.
And I think looking at it instead of a static personality trait, it's a practice.
It is totally.
You're just not self-disciplined every single. It's like exercise. It's a cyclical thing. You may go on vacation and have no self-discipline. This is my story. And you've given yourself that permission. You're like, you're going here. You're not going to do anything. You're going to eat all the cake and drink all the alcohol, do all the things you want to do. Sounds fun. And then go back. But the point is, it is your decision.
Yeah.
Really.
Self-discipline is something we really, really take a good hard look at in category 4. So it's coming at you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if my premise in a category is negative? I don't really want to put a negative premise in my Lifebook. What would you suggest?
I'm going to sort of rephrase that. What if I figure out my premise in a certain category is disempowering or not ideal? You can have negative premise, meaning stated in the negative, like anyway, I'm getting too deep. The bottom line is when you uncover beliefs through this process that are not serving you, what you really want to do is you want to remove those beliefs from your Lifebook and from your life and replace them with beliefs that are more empowering. This can be a difficult thing to do. Mm-hmm. We have some awesome Lifebook members that have the process dialed in. Mm-hmm. Lion Goodman has a program called Clear Your Beliefs that's extraordinary. Marissa Peer has done some really
Everything she does can help you here.
Marissa Peer has done some amazing work around just taking control of your beliefs and making sure that they're empowering. We really help you with this, you guys, and we'll talk about this every week as we go through the program. So we got you. We got you on this.
I personally would never state a belief in the negative. That's just me as my own personal person. So I would probably just try to figure out a way to make it a positive statement in the same. If it's really a belief that you have and want, I wouldn't put it in a negative connotation.
And I don't see it that same way. I would have no problem putting a belief in my emotional category that says, I refuse to tolerate pain and suffering as my natural state. That's stating a belief in the negative, but it serves me.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, so whatever is right for you. Yeah. That's the distinction I wanted to make. It's okay to put a belief that's stated in the negative in your life book if it's a positive belief. I refuse to tolerate pain and suffering as my natural state. Stated in the negative, but it's an actually positive, versus a belief that you uncover that's really not serving you and it's a shitty belief and that it needs to go. The love of money is the root of all evil. That's a belief that if you want to enjoy a high quality of life, is going to derail you every step of the way. That one, which was probably put in your head as a young child and doesn't serve you anymore, if you want to get rid of it, that one is a good candidate to see, can we replace that with a more empowering belief? Money gives me freedom and choice and opportunity. Money allows me to be a charitable person and make this world a better place. That's a much better belief, especially if you ever want to create wealth in your life.
I think this is a great question here. We are already approaching the end of our call, but this is a really highly common question that we get from Renata. How to pack all the actions you need to take in all 12 areas? Health and fitness already takes a lot of time, not to mention the other ones, career, relationship. How do you pack all of these things without compromising sleep, of course?
Sleep is important. Yeah. Well, guys, again, we got your back on this. We've got the process wired. That comes in our second level course called Lifebook Mastery. You're in our first level course where you're going to design your Lifebook. The Lifebook program is the thinking part. You are thinking through the person that you want to become and the life you want to live. That's your job over the next 6 weeks. If you choose to go forward with us into Lifebook Mastery, which is our second level course, that's the doing part of Lifebook. So now you've thought through your entire life and you've designed a life vision. You come into Lifebook Mastery and we literally help you achieve that life vision inside of an accountability system with all the tools and resources you need to be successful. It's the doing part of Lifebook, and we've got that piece dialed in, Alex. The short answer to that question is you don't have to set 50 or 60 goals. You don't have to be working on 45 different things. The 80-20 rule is at play here. What you need to do is identify the highest leverage points that will move the needle in your life the most powerfully and the most effectively, and focus on those few things. And we help you do that.
And in the meantime, I would say this, because this is a question we always get on the front end of Lifebook. And it's this: don't think too much about this process, about how is it going to work in the end. You're just now beginning, right. and it literally comes to you step by step. And by the time you're in like category 6 or 7, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I get how this is working. Really, don't overthink it. We'll go back to the first thing we said in the beginning of this call. Don't overthink it. Really just let it come in and trust that you will know on the back end. You'll see clearly, more clearly than you can right now, because that's what you're doing.
Right.
You're going through a process of clarity, of bringing so much consciousness to your life. So at the end of this, and even in the middle of it, you're going to be starting to really see clear.
The farther you go down the path, the more you'll be able to see down the path.
So just don't worry about any of that stuff right now.
Yeah,
really.
I agree. And plus, just trust us. We've got this process wired.
You can do it.
We've got it down.
We'll do it. Yeah, for sure. Great question.
I mean, the people that are guaranteed to also finish this course are mostly the people that will just focus on what's in front of them. So for this call, you just had to watch the video for Journey Begins.
Focus on the exercise that's right in front of you. Just do that exercise and then move on to the next one we give you and the next one we give you. All of a sudden you look back and holy crap, look at what I did. I can't believe I wrote this friggin' book about the person I want to become and the life I want to live. And now I can start living that every day.
One caveat, which you'll see, is that if you focus on the clarity of what you want and the reason why you want it, you'll also see somewhere down the line that the strategy, because I know that a lot of questions are like, what exactly do I do step by step, every moment or every day, every week, every month? I say this all the time. But if you just focus on the clarity for now, like what exactly do you want and what do you want it, you will see that further down the line, you will also have the stamina and everything linked to this, and also the self-discipline to actually work on the elements that you want. This is something that I have observed by going a full circle. So I've a full cycle. I've done Lifebook for a full year. So at the beginning, I just focused on the clarity of what I want, and then somehow over time, these things become really, really easy. And Jon has this wonderful quote that he also shared in the masterclass with complexity on the simplicity on the far side of complexity. Maybe Jon, you can talk a little bit about this element.
Yeah. So the concept is, and this is what Missy and I are stepping into in our lives right now, that we want a life that can be characterized as simplicity, a simple, dialed-in life where our systems and processes are up and running. Our days, we've got our shit so together that our days just go smoothly and effortlessly, but it takes a lot of work to get there. You've got to work through complexity in order to get to that simplicity. It's the reward for all the work that you're doing right now, and that's what this process leads you through. So we're super excited about that.
Wait till the quote. Say the quote.
The quote is from Oliver Wendell Holmes. He said, "I wouldn't give a fig for simplicity on this side of complexity, but I'd give my life for simplicity on the far side of complexity." You know, where my life is set up exactly the way I want it. Richard Branson's a perfect example of this. The guy owns 150 companies, but he has a really relatively simple life because his systems and processes are up and running and so in place. Now, this is a perfect answer to the question that was just asked. How do I manage all this? There's 12 categories. How do I do it? Well, the answer is you want to focus on the highest leverage strategies that will give you the greatest return on your investment. You want your systems and processes in place, and you live a life that looks to everybody else like effortless, but it took you a lot to get there, and we're going to help you get there because that's what this process does.
Let's go with this question from Maya because I think it applies to a lot of people in this group. My visions and purposes are probably impacted in large by my culture and my society. How do I recognize and differentiate my own unbiased vision and strategy? And how could I know what I really want and why I really want that?
That is a phenomenal question. Yes, it's multi-layered. It's super deep. And
it's the key. It's like the key to everything.
Yeah. Because she is so right. Yeah. We are inundated by the expectations of our culture and by the systems and processes of our culture. And we do eventually have to separate our own needs and desires from those desires that have been sort of forced on us by our society. My recommendation is not to think about that too much going into this process. Just go ahead and go through it and see what comes out. And then after you're done with the first round of your Lifebook session, you can sort of start to revisit some of those visions and ask yourself, is this really coming from my authentic self? Or was this put here by my parents, teachers, preachers, and peers? You know, and you can start to unwind some of those things. I wouldn't be too uptight about it at first. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I agree with that. And I would also say that Lifebook is really a training of your own intuition. So what Jon's saying, what she's saying is there's and not just culture. I mean, I know if she's in a Spanish family, I get that. But the culture, like commercials, like marketing, just internet, everything is just coming at us. And so many people are lost and they don't know what they think. They don't know what they know. They don't know who they are. And this process is literally, it cuts through all of that. If you are, I would say this, you need to meditate to help with that. Because I think meditation clears the skies, clears your mind. It gets rid of all that other stuff. Because ultimately what we're trying to do is get to your own truth. every single person on this call, in this program, has their own truth. And you have to answer these questions from your own truth. And sometimes people are like, I don't even know what I think. I don't even know what I believe.
What I want.
I don't have no idea what I want. And that's where we all started. We all started there. And this is the process that helps you figure that out. So again, like what Jon said, don't worry about it too much. Like we said at the beginning of this call, trust this process. Don't get uptight about any one little thing. Go through the whole thing first, and then you can circle back and say, okay, this is a real question I have, or this is I really need to work on this. Go through the whole thing, and you'll see, like Alex said it also, things start to open up, and then the clarity comes to you as you do the work.
Yeah, that's true. She's smarter than she looks, Alex. Just so you guys know, I mean, I present this information, but clearly she's more than half the brains of this outfit, right? Alex knows. He runs our calls.
Exactly. Don't tell anybody. It's not like 2,000 people are listening. Wonderful. Okay, guys, wonderful session. That's all the time we had for today. Hope you had a lot of fun. I got a lot of value from this session. Thank you, Jon and Missy, for bringing your A game to this call.
We're so excited, you guys. It's going to be an amazing journey.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm also looking forward to seeing what the next session will bring. Be sure that the questions are not going to get easier than this. I think this was the easiest we got, so be prepared. That's all for me. All there's left to say is we are very grateful to all of you for being part of our Mindvalley community. We are looking forward to helping you build your ideal life vision. So stay committed, guys. Work at the piece in front of you. Thank you for all of your questions, your comments, your engagement.
Love you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
see you next week.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Okay, so thank you guys for showing up and for playing full out. And until next time, be extraordinary, my friends. Take care. Bye-bye.